slick and glossy.
Okay, are we ready to go? Okay. So, next item is the new business dealing with a special municipal election. And I think the city attorney is going to take the lead on that.
Well, I can just get us started, and then I think the city attorney wants to respond to some of the inquiry that came in from
Okay,
Kinder Morgan.
all right, go for it.
Tonight's resolution is, or tonight's item is to call a consolidated election for November 5th of this year to increase the business license tax for liquid storage facilities. This item has come forward to the City Council after having had the city staff and the council subcommittee having had an opportunity to meet with Kinder Morgan on a couple of occasions to hear out some of the concerns that they had. We attempted to address that in the ordinance that's before you, so I want to just kind of highlight a couple features of it. One is that this is an up-to tax, similar to what we did with the business license tax that dealt with recycling facilities. So there is a upper limit by which you cannot go beyond. However, you have flexibility in terms of just how fast you get up there or just how far you go. And the idea would be that if the voters approve this in the fall, we would then come back to the council with some different options and different thoughts with regards to implementation of it. The second item was to allow for a sales tax offset, which we have done in our other business license ordinances, that allows for sales tax to be used as a credit against the business license if it's created on site. The difference in the nuance and perhaps the way in which this is kind of different than our other ordinances is that it's not company specific, but it's site specific. So if they generate, if in this case Kinder Morgan were able to generate sales tax by, let's say, with Chevron, then that could be used to offset the business license tax that they would be required to pay. So that's a couple of the kind of the unique features. As you are aware, we did receive a letter from a legal counsel at Kinder Morgan, and I'll ask the city attorney to respond to that. In addition to putting this on the ballot tonight, or making a motion to put it on the ballot, we're also asking the council to set up a subcommittee to work on the argument for. We have a date of August 16th to submit the argument for, and then we have an August 26th date by which we need to do any rebuttals. So with that, I'll turn it over to the city attorney. Thank you.
Mayor and Council, David Kahn, City Attorney. As the City Manager mentioned, there was a letter from Nancy Van Brugel, who's the Assistant General Counsel for Kinder Morgan. She submitted a letter to the City Council dated July the 26th, in which a number of concerns were raised with respect to the proposed business license tax and the impact it would have on Kinder Morgan. Some of the concerns were that it would be too large of an increase, that it was an arbitrary tax, that it was an excise tax on property, and that it was confiscatory, all of which, of course, would be serious concerns for the tax, if accurate. I did have a chance to take a look at the allegations or the concerns that were in the letter, to take a look at the relevant California cases and precedent in terms of what a city is allowed to do in imposing a business license tax. And without going into the actual cases or citations, I did again have a chance to look at the allegations and the concerns, and after reviewing the legal authority and precedent, I believe that the City Council does have the ability, under California law and relevant precedent, to impose well, at this point, it would be to place the matter on the ballot for the election pursuant to Proposition 218. What's significant, again, as called out by the city manager, is that this is not a tax that will take effect upon approval of the ballot measure. It is an up to or not to exceed tax amount. At some subsequent point, there would be further discussions with the council at which the council would make a decision, at which point up to the maximum the tax would be set at, and further discussions with the opportunity for Kinder Morgan to participate in those discussions. So in sum, the measure is an appropriate measure for the council to place on the ballot. We'd be happy to answer any questions the council has.
I had one question about the format of the
Resolution.
no, not the resolution, what is going to be placed in the voter pamphlet? And at the top of page 5, it says, "The full text of the ordinance shall not be printed in the voter information pamphlet." And I guess I'm wondering why that decision was made. Is that typical, or, because I recall from the state, you get, a lot of detailed information on initiatives and, all sorts of stuff goes on for pages and pages and pages. And are we doing this, is this more typical at the local level, or is there a reason for this? Or?
It's fairly common at the local level to not include the entire text of the actual ordinance in the voter information pamphlet, primarily because of cost considerations. When you have an ordinance or a proposed ordinance that is fairly lengthy, then because the city would pay the county based on the number of pages in the voter pamphlet, it's generally much more expensive to print the entire measure, and what happens is that the reference the citizens are given is to the clerk's office, to the website, where the full language is available. And in this particular case, the language is not that long. It's not one of these ordinances that is multiple pages. So the cost differential would probably be fairly small if the entire proposed ordinance was to be printed. But in terms of your question, is this typical? This is very typical for public agencies not to print the entire measure in the voter pamphlet.
It just seemed to me that since it is relatively short, that, why not print it in the voter pamphlet?
It's, the city clerk says that it shouldn't be that much more to print the entire measure, and if the council would prefer that the entire measure be printed as part of the voter information pamphlet, then we can certainly change that to include that the entire measure be.
Talking all evening about transparency, and so to be consistent with that, something that's not going to cost us that much more, why not?
Right, and it's only going to Brisbane residents,
That's right.
so
Yeah.
not San Mateo County.
That's correct. Other questions?
No?
No, I agree with that, printing the whole thing in there, so.
Okay, and
Oh, yeah, no, yeah.
we just have council questions, and then we have public, and are we finished with the council questions?
Yeah, I will make one comment, is that, I did read the Kinder Morgan letter, and I also read the city attorney's response, and I agree wholeheartedly with the opinion of our city attorney.
I know we have someone we've met before. Please come.
Evening, your mayor.
Evening.
Fellow council members. I think, first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm John Lynn Smith. I'm outside counsel to Kinder Morgan. We did meet Mr. Mayor and Cliff, council member. We did meet, and Clay.
Right.
I appreciate it. And there was a series of correspondence with Kinder Morgan. I also wanted to apologize to Gary Prim, who you also met, couldn't be here tonight. His flight was actually canceled. Apparently there were weather delays coming into San Francisco. So in any event, we had hoped that he'd be here. He could probably answer more of the financial questions if you had any, because Gary is our controller. But Our concern, first of all, let me say that we did write, or Nancy Van Bergel did write the July 26th letter. My understanding it is part of the record of these proceedings. We would ask that it be part of the record of these proceedings.
That's correct.
And I think I did listen to your city attorney. I think on some of these aspects, we're going to just have to agree to disagree. Our feeling is that there are defects in the way that it is structured, your resolution and the ballot measure and the tax itself. I'm not sure that the fact that you can go from X number of dollars up to a maximum really cures the defects that we're concerned about. There's no reason why you couldn't go up to the maximum at the first initiation of the tax, for example. But in any event, it's still going to amount to probably a several % increase in the taxes that Kinder Morgan currently pays, or SFPP-LP. And with respect to the on-site sales, you know, SFPP-LP is a regulated entity regulated by the California Public Utilities Commission. It's a terminaling facility. All it does is store the product. It doesn't own the product. It doesn't sell the product. Product comes in from a series of lines or trucks or distribution points, and we hold it in the terminals, mostly for sales by those companies like a Chevron or a Shell to San Francisco Airport or to other facilities around the Bay Area. So we really don't have an opportunity to control that aspect of the impact of the sales tax, or the business license tax, if you will. There were points of sale, or point of sale there many, many years ago, beyond, you know, anybody in our company's memory, or at least participation. We've been on site for about 40 years. We do pay the business license tax. We pay a certain percentage over gross revenues of a certain amount. We pay the property tax. We have a deal with you guys for a building that you use, and I think that lease is not up until, I want to say, 2027. So we feel we're making a contribution, don't really have an opportunity to impact the tax at all through the point of sale because, like I say, it's not our control. So we still feel that it's a company, not an industry, that's being targeted by the tax. We did have some discussions about how there was a feeling that it was a blight. We're hoping that the tax increase is not a measure of animus toward the company. We do feel that if it is that, or if there's a basis for that, or an argument for that, it does amount to a conduct that would be discriminatory or capricious or arbitrary, as we said in our letter. So we're at a loss here for doing anything other than really opposing this tax. We're disappointed, I think, that our discussions came to an end. But nonetheless, we did take our position. We wanted to articulate that position to you, and we wanted to answer any questions that you may have. So that's what we're here for, and we're certainly open to further discussions. Questions?
You know, I do have, if I may, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, that's too bad about the sales tax thing, because, I mean, that was something that we hoped, you know, could offset, you know.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but there's not,
I mean, it was just
it's
something
beyond our control, so we just have to look at it as a business license tax.
Yeah, and I want to make it clear that I know in the meeting that the city manager said the comment about blight, but that wasn't a comment that came from the council, so I just wanted to, you know, state that for the record. Okay.
Okay, so we did, like I said, we did try to articulate the position in the letter and cover the issues where we think there may be defects or legal defects with the proposed tax. And like I said, we're a citizen, a corporate citizen of the city, and we're always open to discussions with you folks. So we hope to see where it goes.
Okay.
All right, any other questions, let me know. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, I think what we do this evening is kind of driven by a time schedule. You want to articulate that?
That's correct. Because this is a general tax issue, it needs to be consolidated with a general election for the council, which is in November. There are timelines that are set by the county registrar, so the council's action tonight would be to approve, if it wishes to do so, placing the measure on the ballot. It would then be transmitted to the county registrar for the consolidated election, and then there's subsequent deadlines in which there is an impartial analysis prepared by the city attorney, along with arguments both for and against the measure by either a subcommittee of the council, other proponents, and then there's an opportunity for opponents of the measure to also submit arguments for the ballot pamphlet. But it is driven by the time schedule, basically, of the county registrar of voters and the November election. Given the late date, the council would need to take action really tonight to have it on the November ballot.
And it's also the case that if we don't get it on this November, then we're talking about a hiatus of 2 years?
That's correct. Generally, because it does have to be on a general election, it would be 2 years. There are some cities that have passed declarations of fiscal emergency, which allows them to put it on an off year, but that's only with a specific finding and facts supporting a fiscal emergency within the city.
I'm ready to make a motion to approve it. If there isn't any further council discussion.
I'll second resolution number 2013-28.
Do also, the subcommittee, we need to, okay, as well as appoint a city council subcommittee of 2 members to
We
draft.
need to do that before we vote on it, right? Because there's
Oh, we do
spots.
first one and then come back the next one. Okay, you're right.
Right, there are empty spots in the, right?
That's correct.
Passing for the subcommittee, right? So we need to fill those in, I guess.
Okay.
So who are our most eloquent people?
Oh, well, everybody is.
Leave me out, I'll put swear words and stuff like that. We're just, I don't know, Terry, I think the 2 in the middle who've been doing this the whole time, I think they're probably, what do you think?
I think they could do a fabulous
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, on this, so.
So,
You've kind of been the subcommittee on this for up to this point, and, I would certainly entrust that you guys come up with the argument. I'm sure that we get to review before it's approved, so.
Do we have time for that?
No, actually, I think
We don't. Yeah, that's the problem. That's why the names have
it's August 16th, and your next meeting is August 19th.
19th. Yeah, right.
I mean,
You have to trust us.
I trust you.
I think we can trust you.
And of course, we.
Otherwise, that you could be in the rebuttal to the argument in favor or against
Yeah, right.
in that
Right.
time frame. That's a couple more weeks down the road if there was something that someone truly didn't agree with.
Are you guys okay with it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Yeah. Do the best we can.
so do you want to?
Nothing's perfect.
Do you need
We'll
to
do
change your
And
approve?
appoint council members Ray Miller and Cliff Lentz to subcommittee to draft the argument for passage of the ballot measure.
My second included that.
Okay. All right, any further discussion?
Councilmember Conway, did your motion including the full text of the ballot measure in the voter pamphlet as well?
Yes, he did say that
You did?
before.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, Cliff made the motion, I'm seconding it.
Okay, all right.
Okay?
Yep.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, then we have the contract for the financial software.
The city staff went out and got proposals from 3 different companies. One of them was very much much higher than the other 2. We looked at, again, it's getting late for me, so I apologize for this. We talked with two different companies, one Next Level and the other Client First Technologies. One of them used a very specific checkoff list of what types of services we were looking for. We went through that checkoff list and looked at what we as a staff could do, what we could use our city attorney to do during the period for the contract, and we limited the number of items to the bare minimum that we could. The other one, we then took that list of items that we were looking for and sent it out to the other two companies. The estimate that we got, as you see, from the company that we got through GFOA, and that was used by Mid-Peninsula, was about $40,000, which is much higher than the $25,000 that we got from Soft Services. And Soft Resources, sorry. The other company that we looked at was Client First Technology. Their cost for basically the same service was $27,502. One of the differences between the two was the level of contact that we had with both of those companies. What we found was that Soft Resources was very responsive to us, that when we had questions, it didn't really make a difference if the person was on vacation or if the person was working. They got back to us quickly. And that was one of those issues that we think that as we're going through this process, that we're going to want to have a company that we have easy access to throughout the period of time. Also, the Soft Resources is going to have two of their people on site for 2 days, and we didn't quite get that same understanding from Client First Technology, that they may have had more of a interview process over the phone or more work over paper, going back and forth through email. So for those reasons, we're recommending Soft Resources as the company to go with. The cost is $25,044. We have in our budget $30,000, so we would have about another $5,000 available to us if we needed additional services. But as I said, using the city attorney and using staff who we already have with Betsy and myself to be able to go through the demos and to go through some of the negotiations, we feel very comfortable that Soft Resources will be a very good company for us.
Questions?
If I could, before.
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the contract with Soft Resources.
I did want to make a couple comments. And I talked to staff about this earlier, that while we were attached the proposal from Soft Resources, we were not given the proposal from Client First. And I thought that since both were evaluated, that should have been included in our packets. I did talk to staff, and I am comfortable with their choice, but it does still appear to me that the Soft Resources bid of $25,044 doesn't include contract negotiations, which is going to be a time and material, and the Client First does include contract review and negotiation. And there is a couple $1,000s difference, but if we're looking at time and materials, that can be absorbed very quickly. So I did want to point that out, and my concerns for that. If staff feels confident that their contract negotiations are going to be handled in-house with our current city attorney and financial staff, and they feel it's a better company, I'm sure it is, but I did want to point out that they are a little bit different, and I would have appreciated seeing that proposal attached to my staff report.
Yeah, the next time that we have proposals this close, we will do that. From a perspective of if we use Soft Resources, their hourly rate's about $175 an hour for the staff that we would use. I don't, the proposal for Client First did not have, more than 5 to 10 hours worth of staff, of their time with the negotiations. So even if we were to use soft resources for some of that negotiation, it would still be less expensive. But given the experience that Betsy's had in dealing with software companies and dealing with David's experience with doing this type of work in the past with other contracts, that we feel very comfortable that we'd be able to do it with our in-house staff. And,
It's just the phrase time and materials
I understand.
always scares me because, it's the blank check. It's the blank check in the contract, so.
right? I mean, our goal is to make this as least expensive for the city as possible and get the best possible service. It's one of those things that we're very cognizant of, especially in the finance department.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Stuart. Staff reports.
I don't have any independent report tonight, Mr. Mayor, so perhaps we'll go to the item B.
Okay.
Which is the DIR update.
Okay.
Yes, just very quickly, provided an update to the city manager, which explains the activities that have occurred over the last couple months after the release of the EIR in June. There were a number of informational meetings that were held by the EIR consultant to explain the content of the EIR. And there have been a couple of other informational meetings that have been attended. The BBCAG, the EIR consultant attended. I provided a presentation to the Visitation Valley Planning Alliance. The various boards and commissions of the city are reviewing the document, and as is the Citizens Committee. So those are all ongoing activities. We distributed the document to over 50 public agencies for their review and comment. We have dispersed over 30 copies of the document to members of the public, in addition to people who may have accessed it online as well. And we're continually trying to improve its access by making it available on different formats, which are all available on the city's website. So it's been put in an audio form, so you could listen to it theoretically, and I'm not sure why you would do that, but I'm sure there's a good reason. And
There are people who are doing it while commuting.
exactly. So it's available in that form, also through a Google Translate to be translated into various languages as well. So we're doing our best to maximize the access. The last thing that's kind of the next important milestone is, as you had a discussion earlier this evening about the comment period closure is currently scheduled for October. It sounds like you'll be considering extending that at your next meeting. We were going to have, and we will still have, public meetings scheduled to take public testimony for comments on the draft EIR. It's our feeling that those meetings, the schedule has always been for those meetings to be held 3 to 4 weeks before the close of the comment period. So if the council were to extend the comment period, we would push out those meetings to accept public testimony as well. So you would just subtract 30 days from whatever date you set as a close, and then we'd try to work around the schedule to have the public meetings to take testimony at that point in time. If it ends up around a holiday season, obviously we'll have to adjust that accordingly. But the point is not to have a set of comments taken and then have an extended period go by where people feel compelled to either repeat those comments, duplicative verbal comments to be given. So trying to keep it in one session. We're working with the Planning Commission, trying to schedule, we'll look at about 9 hours we thought would be a good starting point for the amount of time to allot for that process, to be determined with the commission, but try to do it in a block of time again where it's probably 3 nights in a row during the week. So again, those dates will be determined once the council sets the close of the comment period. So that was just an update I provided to the city council and to the city manager, so I'd take any questions you might have.
So you have a format in mind for the public input sessions?
We'll work with the planning commission chair, but my expectation is she would poll, see how many people are willing to speak or interested in speaking, figure out it's a 3-hour block of time that particular night, and start dividing up the time based on the number of people who are interested in speaking. But
I was also thinking whether it makes any sense to say, okay, comments on chapters 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, do it in any kind of systematic way like that, or let just people comment on anything they want to across the board.
my expectation would be for people to be able to comment, because once someone maybe starts getting into the flow of their comments, it's very hard to, one, maybe determine based on how the document's structured where they are in the document, and I don't know that we want to be, the chairman wants to be in a position of stopping people and then letting them start, so probably let them speak their piece at a single period of time. And if they felt the need to take more time, whatever the allotment was, obviously the opportunity for other nights to come back and continue as they need or see fit.
Okay. Jerry?
I have a quick update from the Baylands Citizens Committee. I just wanted to report that they have met as a group about 5 times since January of this year. They're currently working in small subcommittees to review the document and devise comments. And we have a meeting next Monday night, August 5th, where they'll be discussing the need or request to council for an extension of time as well, so.
It's a big document.
Any other, so we'll have on the agenda the whole issue of extension next time? Okay. All right. So, work plan, I mean, do you want to postpone that maybe until next time? What do you want to do?
What's the agenda look like next time?
Also pretty long.
Yeah, it's going to be a long night. We were planning to put an economic development plan there. I do need to meet with Councilmember Lentz and O'Connell with regards to the Sierra Point design guidelines, because we, I think, had some thought that would be on there also.
Well, I think I'd rather put it off. I know Ray, I'm just being sensitive to Ray, jet lag.
Well, I think and that's perfectly fine. I think the idea of the work plan was, I mean, this is just the mid-year update, and then the mayor and I were going to sit down and go through kind of a schedule, so we could, I don't know that we'll have that. Well, we'll probably try to do that before the 19th. So maybe we can bring back the schedule.
We can work on it, but then we can look at the agenda, and if we decide that it's, it's overwhelming, then if the council's agreeable, then maybe we could do it the first meeting in September.
Sure.
That's fine.
Okay. All right. Move on to mayor council matters. Countywide assignment reports or subcommittee reports.
This Friday, we have I think it's with the Peninsula Cities Consortium on high-speed rail. Meeting here at City Hall at 8:30. So is, of course, open to the public. It's not a decision-making body, it's just an information-taking body, and to receive updates. I believe we're going to meet probably Wednesday beforehand. I think the city manager is going to update us on 4th and King station. So that information, I think, will be shared at that meeting. And so the next 2 meetings are going to be held here in Brisbane. So we didn't have one in July. So
okay.
it's open to everybody.
So this is Friday, this coming Friday,
It's coming Friday,
and at what time is the meeting?
30 a.m.
At 8:30 a.m. Friday morning, okay.
And I think we can record it, right?
Yeah, we haven't in the past, but we can.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't cost us anything to,
Yeah,
record it or even televise it, right? Because we just use the one camera, right? Yeah. I think it's worthwhile, at least, getting the audio, if anything, on, and maybe be able to put it on our station, so it kind of informs the citizens of what's going on, especially with the potential impact of this Fourth and King situation, so.
Okay.
And that's really all I have, because all the other ones had been,
Recessed.
yeah,
Okay.
taking July off.
Yeah, right. Terry? No report?
No report.
Okay. Jeff?
No.
No? Okay. I have one quick report. You may recall I was meeting with the homeowners associations on the Northeast Ridge, and after our last meeting, I did the third one with Landmark, which was held in the library. But despite that, there was pretty good turnout. And so we had a very lively discussion. That particular group, every group was different as to what they were concerned about. But the Landmark people, the primary concern was the issue of the school district wanting to send the kids from the Northeast Ridge to Panorama. And there was a lot of people there who wanted to talk about that and wanted the council to have something to say. I was trying to inform them that, we're sympathetic to their concerns, but it's really the school board that has to make that decision, not us. But there was a lot of concern over that issue.
As there should be.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was the big issue. We talked about all kinds of things and lots of questions, but that was the thing that people were really passionate about.
Yeah.
Okay, wanted to mention that I've gotten, I guess we all received, but it should, the communications, we agreed that the communication from Kinder Morgan would be a part of the record on that. We've gotten 3 communications on the skate park, 2 in favor and 1 against. And then we had the letter from the Open Space and Ecology asking for the extension of time to review the draft DIR. And we come to oral communications number 2, and since the room is empty, I assume that there are no takers. And so that brings us to adjournment, and of course we agreed that we'd adjourn in the memory of Anna Lou Martin, and what's Cooper's first name?
Les.
Les Cooper. Okay.
I guess it's nighttime.
We really adjourned.
I knew it was happy.
All right, thank you all.
Okay.